right, people, I am fanboying out. I am so fortunate to spend some time with filmmaker, musician, preacher, you name it, director, actor. I think if you buy a VHS tape, he'll come to your house and pop the popcorn as well. It is Mr. David Heavener. Sir, how are you?
Good, Ralph. Good to be with you. Thank you for that wonderful introduction. That's got to be the first of its kind. That's very unique. Thank you. I'll show up at your house and pop popcorn for you. I do everything in the movie. I haven't thought about popping the popcorn, but that's not a bad idea.
These honks are going to honky tonk tonight. If I can start, first of all, you went to Nashville and you just did it. You just did it. Can I please ask you, because your songs are catchy, they're fun. When you want to be serious, I mean, and you've got inspirational music, you know, Renegade. Renegade is like my theme song because Christians love to say you can't do that. You ought not.
Yeah.
You know, can you tell me just how did you just decide just to go do that?
You mean as far as the songwriter in Nashville?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it is a dream I always had as a kid of going to Nashville and writing songs. And I used to listen to the radio, and so I gravitated toward country music because it's like I thought it was cool, man. You know, drinking beer and running over grandma, and all that kind of stuff. And so I started studying George Jones and some of the greats, and listening to them. And so my mother saved her tips. She was a waitress in a cookie jar until she had enough money to buy me my first guitar. And she put me on a Greyhound bus to Nashville, Tennessee, when I was 17. I didn't know anybody, but through a chain of events, I had 2 top 10 records and, a bunch of chart records. And I wrote songs for a lot of other people, Johnny Carson, The Tonight Show, and some of the game shows and stuff. So yeah, God's been good.
Yes, sir. And you said God's been good. Now, I'm a Christian, you're a Christian, you preach, you are uncompromising. And folks, go to David Heavener on YouTube and you will hear he will preach the paint off the walls.
But go to davidheavener.tv. Make sure you sign up because you can get all my 1,300 shows there. But go ahead, Ralph.
There you go. And he made, I don't know, it's over 50 films, and I'm doing my best to track them down. Twisted Justice, For Hire. Now, this one, Mr. Heavener did not direct, and you can tell he did not direct this one. When Mr. Heavener directs, seriously, it's fun films. But I want to say, because we mentioned being believers, there are little breadcrumbs even in your action films. Okay, now just last night I watched again Deadly Reactor, which is a great film. It's basically a post-apocalyptic Western. Folks, go out and get it on physical media if you can find it. I have trouble here in Australia, but in the States, I'm sure it's everywhere. But agape preachers, and it's a Christian message through that film. I know they're shooting and everything, but was that on purpose? Were you purposely dropping breadcrumbs?
Yeah, I think I was, Ralph. Even back at that time, I've always been a Christian since I was 7. Of course, it's been a struggle being in Hollywood and a songwriter, but the core of me, the soul of me, kept putting God into things the best way I could without Hollywood looking at me and going, Heavener, what are you doing? Stop preaching. So I kind of pushed the limit a little bit on that. They did raise an eyebrow, but they let me, I had enough action in it, shooting, that they let me do it. So yeah, I put these things in because as people that watch these, at least they can have a consciousness of spirituality. And that's important to me.
I would think, not to put words in your mouth, but I would think that you're proud of these films because the films that I've seen, that yes, there's action, there's shooting, sometimes there's a little nudity, but it's not gore. It's not mean spirited. I think films have a spirit about them just like anything else.
Yeah.
Do you look back with pride? Because they're great entertainment to me.
Thank you. I do. I'm very thankful. I'll get people stop me every once in a while, or they'll contact me and say, David, I was a kid going through some bad times. My parents were divorced. I got bullied at school, but I watched your movie. I watched your movies, and it made me feel good. And that does a lot for me because it tells me that there was a reason for it. Because I always played the underdog, the quote good guy that got screwed over by the bad guy, and he didn't want to, but he had to come back and administer justice, in the only way he knew how. So it was it's kind of a form of it was kind of a form of preaching for me, you might say, in a very strange sort of way.
Yes, sir. Even Outlaw Justice, I noticed this in the scene. The young girl that's playing your daughter says we have to say grace, or I'm paraphrasing, but it's like we have to say grace. And I thought, okay, that's on purpose. That's got to be, because you don't see that in Hollywood films, really.
No, that was Outlaw Force, and that was one of the first
Force.
movies that I directed, wrote, and starred in. And yeah, it was a little weird because the mother was, from my memory, was she wasn't godly. I think she might have been an atheist. Of course, the girl who played my wife was Asian, so she was probably, Buddha or something, but I threw it in at the last minute. It wasn't in the script. I said, I asked the little girl who played my daughter, I said, have you ever prayed before? And she goes, I don't think so. And I said, all you do is bow your head and just talk to God. And that's all you do. And she did. And she did a great job. And so, yeah, I put that in at the last minute.
Not to be presumptuous, but do you ever think God gave you that career in, like, he gave you the music and then he gave you the career in films? But do you ever think that was to give you the platform you have now? Because you say David Heavener, and people know who you are, either from music or from film. It kind of gave you a very big platform that you may not have had otherwise.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a great question. And I know he did because it was supernatural. When I went to Hollywood, I really didn't know anybody, had no money, no connections. I mean, very little experience as an actor. And look what happened. I mean, even directing people like Martin Landau and Tony Curtis and producing people like Ernest Borgnine, a lot of these people would ask me, they go, where did you come from? How did you do this? Like, what's going, they were trying to figure it out, these stars, and here I was directing them and starring with them. And I wrote what they were speaking. Right. And I said, I don't know. I don't know. But my uncle knew. He came from Israel and he was on the set and he kept saying, that's God. That's God. He would jump up and go, that's God, and so I'll always remember him saying, that's God. He said that through my career. Every time something would happen, I'd go up another level. I got a call from HBO to do a 6-picture deal. And he heard about it and he said, that's God. Right. And so the answer is yes. Yeah. When God gives you a mission in life, he's going to give you a tools. If he gives you the vision, he'll give you the provision, the provision. See, and we just have to be aware of it. See, that's the thing. Most of us go through life, including me for a period of time. We're not aware of these things. But if you come aware of it, you focus on it, and then you'll do what God wants you to do. See what I'm saying? And so
Sir.
that, yeah.
Okay, I want to get into what you're doing now, but just on the movies, how in the world, I would think it would be a pressure cooker to, produce, direct, star, and and a few of them you did the music as well. It's like it was a one-man show, so you obviously had a vision, but did obviously everybody's coming to you if there's whatever problem. What is that actually like, being in that maelstrom like that?
Yeah. Are you referring to just my movies in general or Last Evangelist, the new TV series I'm doing?
Well, movies first and then Last
Oh,
Evangelist.
okay. All right. I don't know because I don't know anything different. One of my first movies, which is Outlaw Force, I was not originally the director on. I was the actor, the star. I wrote it. I was helping produce it, but the director quit. And I remember David Huey, who was my partner on it, he was the DP, came up to me, he goes, David, he goes, why don't you direct? I go, direct? What? How do you do that? And he goes, okay, do you know how you worked with people in auditions? Because when I held auditions, I worked with the actors and pulled out of them certain things. I said, yeah. He goes, that's directing. Now, he went to film school. I'd never gone to film school. And remember, this was only my second movie, the second movie set I'd ever been on, right? The first one was Border of Tong, which is where I met David Huey. So I started directing, and as the time went on, I started understanding camera positions, lenses, just all the technical stuff behind it. So I never knew anything different. I only knew because people hired me at that point to not just star, but they wanted me to direct. And I think because they wanted that certain kind of feel or delivery or, whatever. And so I went on and did, like, I don't know, 14, 15 movies straight where I was writer, director, star. And, so the answer to your question, I don't know. I don't know what it's like to not do it.
How about now with The Last Evangelist? So is it a different? Because I imagine Hollywood, you're swimming with sharks. It's a different environment. Now you're doing Last Evangelist. How is it different?
It's different because I'm doing it for a different reason. Okay. That's why it's different. It's the same process, but what's behind it, the driven passion behind it is different. We've won a lot of awards. We're up to 37 awards on Last Evangelist episode 1, and episode 2 and 3 is out. You can go to David Heavener TV and watch it. We have our own channel on there, and it's about Christian persecution. It's about the vaccine. It's about the AI Bible. But the thing is the quality of it. And I've had people tell me, I'm not patting myself on the back, is very, very, it's supernaturally good for the budget we had to work with. Okay. And God has orchestrated that. And so I'm very happy with it. It's a little bit different because sometimes I have to shoot 2 or 3 days at a time. Then I shut down till we raise money to shoot the rest of it. And then we'll pick it back up and move on. But I believe a miracle is going to happen. I think we're either going to get picked up by a big network or somehow David Heavener TV is going to launch into a new level where we're going to have a lot more eyeballs on it. So I'm just kind of taking it one day at a time.
Yes, sir. Well, your YouTube is huge. You have a huge YouTube channel. I think you're sitting right almost at 100,000 subs, I believe.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty big, and I've got pretty big social media following. And we have a really good network of David Heavener TV because we're on Roku and Amazon and Apple TV. We have all those apps. So I have a lot of people out there in television land watching me. They're watching me just like they would Netflix or Disney or whatever. They just download my app, right? And yeah, so that's I'm very thankful for that.
Now, I'm paraphrasing, but I like something you said I believe you were being interviewed, and you said, don't go to church just because you feel like I'm supposed to go to church. If you can't find a church that doesn't compromise, and that, sir, that's very relevant here in Australia, don't go. And I've never heard anybody say it, but you don't know that went right through me, because usually what you hear is, well, your obligation is to be in church. It's always obligation. And you preach in such a different way. And I think for today, the great preachers of the past, they were of their time, and that's what was needed then. Mm-hmm. But honestly, I think now what is needed is the kind of message that you're bringing, because you said if churches weren't compromising, you wouldn't be preaching, essentially.
Yeah, I was birthed out of the fact that churches won't tell the truth. I tell people all the time, if they would tell the truth, I wouldn't exist anymore. I mean, I would exist, but you wouldn't be seeing me because I'd have something else to do. and God's calling me. And that's part of what I do with Last Evangelist. You know, I show God's character through justice, mercy, and walking with God. I think that might be Malachi, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, that it's all the same. You know, it's proclaiming the true character of God in these last days, because the religious system has bastardized God, his character, and they've turned Jesus into a cotton candy, uh, you know, little trophy, and, and it's a shame. So therefore, somebody needs to step up and tell people and have a voice. And someone like yourself listens. So I've had people say that, David, it rocked my world. I've been thinking this, but no one's ever said it. You finally said it, you know, and so, yeah, I've been doing the Sunday morning show for almost 4 years now. Of course, I do a Monday night live show that's more on current events and so forth.
Yes, sir. And man, you really go on the current events. Let me tell you, folks, if you want topical, I won't. Maybe those are better not to say preaching, maybe teaching, or just a conversation about
It,
different things.
it's investigative more, I'd say. Yeah, investigative, teaching, investigative. Yeah.
But you hold nothing back, and there's no topic. I like the way you tie it in, because you have one called "Why Clint Eastwood is My Favorite Preacher," and just to tie back to the films real quick, in Border of Tong, you do a great little tip of the hat to Clint Eastwood, where the guy says, "Who do you think you are, Clint Eastwood?" And you turn it around. I think you say it's a 38 special, not a 40. It's awesome. Obviously, you're a film lover, or at
Yeah.
least you were.
Yeah, you know, I used to go to the movies and watch the big screen. My heroes were Clint Eastwood and Charles Bronson. Uh, Pretty much those two, maybe one other, I can't remember. Schwarzenegger hadn't come along again, or Stallone, or none of that. But yeah, they were the anti-heroes. You know, the people that didn't want to step into the role of saving anybody, but they had no choice. They got pushed into a corner. And someone else I really like was Tom McLaughlin, who played Billy Jack.
Yes, sir.
That movie was brilliant. Now, unfortunately, he went off the deep end and started preaching to everybody, government, and all kinds of crazy nonsense. And I hate to say that about him, God rest his soul, but he started out with a great thing with Born Losers, Billy Jack, but then he went off on some bizarre spree. But anyway, I did like his stuff, what he did, and I thought he was very cutting edge.
Have you seen him in The Master Gunfighter?
No, was that before Billy Jack?
Honestly, I think it was after, but it's him and oh, it won't come to me now, but that's one maybe to check out if you ever
I
uh
will. I'll definitely check that out. Yeah, yeah.
The Master Gunfighter. Can I ask you now, Christian media does sometimes, like, I used to show my kids, I used to buy the Bible Man show for them, Willie Ames, but kind of the Kirk Cameron kind of Christian media kind of gets a bad name, because it's so, I don't want to say a bad thing, but it's kind of lame in a way. Uh, Obviously, I haven't seen it yet, but I know Last Evangelist is not like that. There's no way David Heveter makes something like that.
No, no. I admire people that do that. Like, I admire Christmas movies. I like to watch them, with my kids and stuff like that when they were little. But no, I don't make those. That the other people do those very well. I try to stay in the vein in which I'm really good at, that nobody else can do, or at least they don't understand it. So no, I mean, if you were to put me in a Christmas movie, it'd probably be about a family that their home was ransacked by a gang member, and I was the Santa Claus down the street that put all the kids on their lap until I found out about it, and then I went and strapped on my gun. And hey, that's a movie right there. I don't know. I better not. Don't air this because someone's going to steal it. But I mean, probably that would be the the theme of what I would do, and I don't know why. I think because somehow God has put in my spirit. My wife always says, you have this desire to always try to bring justice, you know, and I go, well, don't blame me, blame God. He gave me the desire, you know. And you know, people get that mixed up with I'm trying to play God. I'm not trying to play God. I'm trying to bring God's justice, you know, in a human way, right?
I'm glad you said Billy Jack, because in so like Kill Crazy, the film Kill Crazy, uh, or so many of your other films, you are like the modern day Billy Jack. And the only thing with your films that kind of I don't like trauma. I hate trauma films. Toxic Avenger, I do not like them.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
somehow they're distributing your films, and it's like when you buy one of your films and it's the trauma thing comes up first, and it's like, oh come on, trauma of all people. But I know you have nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I don't. I know those guys. I've known them for years, and even Michael Hertz will tell you that stuff is just the worst stuff in the world. He'll tell you it's sloppy and messy, and you know. So I'm not saying anything because I love Michael and Lloyd and all that, but somehow they got a hold on a catalog that I was in. Not all the movies, but some of them, and people have told me, you know, they got to sit through that trauma stuff at the beginning. That's the bad thing. But here's the good thing. What's interesting is they're probably one of the few companies that got all those DVDs out into the marketplace, you see, because some of this stuff just goes away and you never see it again.
Yes, sir.
But they kept it alive. And I get so many contacts from, I guess, their tribe saying, we just saw your movie, but you know, would you autograph this? So that's the good side of it. So you got to look at the good, you know.
And you said Last Evangelist is basically people support your ministry, and that's how that gets the next episodes get made.
Yeah. I have lastevangelist.com. That's my crowdfunding site, lastevangelist.com. And if people go there and they donate, they can be an actor in the movie. They can be just special thanks. Or they can get T-shirts or whatever. That's how we fund it. I'm doing it through my nonprofit and through donations, right? And the reason is, if I take somebody's money, like a studio, I have to do what they want me to do when they want me to do it, and you're really not going to get what I really feel like needs to be done in it, you know, and because I attack some very sensitive issues. Episode 4, you'll find, goes into the world of child trafficking, but it's real. It's not this Hollywood stuff. This is the real deal that exposes a lot of people, a lot of things, and episode 5 is even more drastic. So that's the way I'm doing it. I'm going to keep doing it as long as I can.
I have to ask. If I'm sitting here with you, I can't not ask this. You have worked with some of the biggest names, and I mean Tony Curtis. He's an associate Rat Pack member. Elvis wanted to be Tony Curtis. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
And other people. I can't remember his name now. Oh, please forgive me. But from Welcome Back, Kotter and Kill Crazy.
Yeah, Lawrence Hilton Jacobs and the other guy that played with the big black hair there.
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I can't remember the names. I'm bad with names, but you've worked with some big names. And my wife thankfully understands my David Heavener movie addiction. But she says, how did he get these actors to be in his movie? So now I have to ask you for my wife, how did you get these? Tony Curtis, bro.
I think, well, that's God, right? God, number one. But number two is I was kind of the kid in the early 90s that the agents and managers were all kind of looking at, talking about me, talking to their clients about me, because my stuff was coming out limited theatrical, you know, and doing very well on video, which, you know, was extremely important in those days. And I think what they would do is I would submit a script like Prime Target, and it was good enough that the agent would read it and pass it on to Tony Curtis, and Tony would read it, and he would say, "Yeah, it needs a little work. We can fine tune it, but I like the idea. We can make this thing really good for an independent film, you know." So I think it was the content of the script. There was, you know, there was no nonsense. It was just a guy getting, you know, picked on, and he's got to stand up for himself. It was a very simple formula, you know. And with Tony Curtis, he called me. I'll never forget. He called me. No, he actually came over to my house, and because he wanted to talk, you know. And yeah, I know. Here I'm a kid watching this guy with black hair, you know, and I'm a little boy, and all of a sudden he shows up on my doorstep, and of course he's got the gray hair and stuff, but still looking really good. And he he already committed to the script in principle, but he wanted to talk to me. So he came over. I remember him sitting across from the table, and he said, you know, he goes, why don't we turn this into a kind of a midnight run type thing, you know? And I said, well, that's kind of what I had in mind, you know? And I didn't know he was he was talking about turning it into something bigger than Midnight Run. I mean, if you watch it, he's pretty much over the top, you know, he's kind of a lunatic, right? And so I didn't know he wanted to go that far, but when he did, I just followed him and it worked, right? So anyway, it was a good angle to turn it into a Midnight Run. It did very well, limited theatrical, 100,000, you know, VHS and DVD sales, and television, HBO, you know, ABC, NBC. I mean, they all picked it up, you know.
Yes,
And
sir.
yeah, so it was cool. Martin Landau, Eye of the Stranger, he read the script, he loved it. And I didn't quite have the budget for him, but almost did. I said, Martin, I don't have your rate. You know, it's very, very expensive, you know, hundreds of $1,000s. And he came to me, he says, look, I'll work with you. I want to do this script, you know. So he worked with me on the budget. And
That's God.
That's God, yeah. Eric Estrada, I think Eric would have done it no matter what the script was, but he did like it. And I liked him. He liked me. We got along. He liked the futuristic part of it. And I said, look, it because we don't have a big budget, I'm going to make it not campy. I'm going to make it bigger than life, you know, bigger than life, not campy. There's a difference. I don't make campy stuff.
Yes,
Like,
sir.
I make it a little bigger than life, and he liked that idea. So that was good. And I mean, I could go on and on. I had so many names in my films. I have a story for all of them, but I don't want to waste up the airtime here.
Oh, you're not wasting, but I'll say this: that film with Eric Estrada, I get the names. I cross the names over. Please help me with the name of that film. I'm sorry.
Oh, Twisted Justice.
Twisted Justice.
Yeah.
The bad guy in that film is literally scary, and I loved your performance. Now, your films, I tell everybody, are like Baskin Robbins because it's a slightly different flavor for each one. But that film, you look like you're having fun, and you're delivering things in a almost a comedic way, like the donut deal and everything. And
right.
Just so well done. I just want to say, you know, as we start the downward spiral, I just want to say thank you for the films. Thank you for preaching now. And what do you think that, you know, people are coming here? Some are going to come because they know you're a Christian. Some are going to come because of the films, and get them on physical media. Folks, go to David Heavener TV. If you're a Christian, if you like that kind of thing, support David Heavener. But what do the people need to know?
They need to know that I'm going to continue to make these kinds of films, but it's going to dive deep into the world of the spiritual, not the religious. Some people might call it paranormal, or X-Files meets the Book of Revelation. I promise you, you're not going to walk away going, oh, he's preaching to me. I'm going to bust open and discover some true life things people have been doing, getting away with, and bringing my character in to right the wrong. Okay. So I'm on a new journey, but I'm excited about this journey because we're going to chew gum and kick butt, and I'm all out of gum, you know? And, so yeah, go to Last Evangelist and check that out, because I sure am chewing. Well, no, I'm kicking butt spiritually, and support us. You know, support us. And I tell you what, Ralph, there's over 1,200 other shows on there with topics like astral projection, program multiples, Nephilim, the alien demon connection. I tell you, you won't be bored watching this.
Yes, sir. And my last little thing, check out a series that David has done on his YouTube called Coffee with David. It's so chill, and you're not in preaching mode, you're just talking. So I encourage everybody, if you want like a good intro, a chill intro, check out Coffee with David.
Thanks. You can catch that on davidheavener.tv too. And by the way, they can buy T-shirts and mugs. There's the Cup of Truth mug. That's the Last Evangelist mug. I got T-shirts. We have My Vaccines, the Blood of Jesus, Holy Spirit's my booster, Last Evangelist shirts. We got hats and all that. So go to davidheavener.tv/order. If you want to donate, go to davidheavener.tv/give. Appreciate that.